This hour of Track Talk is brought to you by McCarthy Chevrolet, and I know, Scott, we're both very pleased to have McCarthy as part of Track Talk here on Saturday mornings, especially right here on RacinBoys. And, boy, they've got some great deals down at McCarthy, just off Rawhide, off Santa Fe on I-35 at Olathe, and they just all kinds of things going on down there all the time. I know you were down there here just a couple of weeks ago, and it was a busy day when you were there. Yeah,
it was, Kirk. You been down there yet to take a look at a new car for yourself?
Thinking about it. I've got to work the finances together, Scott. But thinking pretty seriously about it. Got to get into Chevrolet. I got to get into Chevrolet.
Go down there, great deals on trucks and used cars as well. So a couple of cars have been sold because of Track Talk, and I'm sure that there's some people that go down there and buy cars that listen to us that never even mentioned our name. So, but Brian Schaefer and his gang over there are doing a good job with $12,000 off in Silverados, and you can get as much as 0% interest on financing if you want. And I told you, I did that with my truck when I bought it in '04. And there's nothing like making a payment on your truck and then looking at your balance when it comes in the next month, and it comes right off of the top. I love that. It's almost really worth more to me to do it with the 0% interest than it is to get the $12,000 off, because, $12,000 is $12,000. Call it what you want, but I know one thing: 0% interest. There's no pad. There's no anything there. It's just a straight payment, and that's what I like about that 0% interest. You ever done that, Troy, or 0% interest? You probably pay cash for everything, though, don't you, Bud?
I don't buy any new cars. My 2002 Suburban is the newest vehicle I've ever owned.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I've done this.
Buy that?
Let's see, would have been 2 years ago. Bought it in 2010. It had been the fire chief's vehicle in Oklahoma City. I drive down the road, and sometimes
I'm starting to think you're a little tight.
I'm stunned.
Sometimes fire chiefs coming the other way will wave at me.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Well,
I was to ask April, would she say you're tight?
Quite possibly. Of course, the newest vehicle April's the newest vehicle April's ever owned is a '96.
She'd probably take a newer one if you just come off that money.
No, she'd probably take an older one.
McCarthy Chevrolet, they'd get her all set up down there. Hey, I've tried that 0% financing. That works too, by the way. I like that. But
0%.
Yeah.
And the stuff I have bought, I've bought at 0%.
Cash for your cars.
I did the 0% financing on the car that I got now.
Corn likes paying cash. That's what he likes to do.
Hey, I've got my eye on this Equinox. I've kind of fell in love with the car you got there, Scott. I like the looks of that car, and you've had it for quite a while, and they've got Equinox down there.
You don't want mine. It's got
not that one. I'd want a brand new one. If I was going to get one.
Let me say this. I will say that the vehicle that I would probably come the closest to taking out a loan on would be the new Camaro.
As soon as my Equinox is paid for, I'm going to get one.
I actually rented one in L.A., and that was probably the wrong thing to do, because ever since then...
It hooked you?
Oh, man. Those are... And the one I had was a 6-cylinder. It wasn't even a V8, but, man, that's a hell of a car.
Hey, I will tell you, the 6-cylinders nowadays run like the V8s of old days.
Oh, this one would get it. I mean, you had to wind it up a little bit and get it up in the upper RPMs, right. But, I mean, it would get right down the road.
Well, they've got it all for you. Just go to McCarthyChevykc.com. And if you're not into new cars, they've got certified pre-owned cars that you can look at their inventory there, too. So,
I was going to, we mentioned April. You guys showed up down there at the Daytona watch party that we had or that we were going to have down at Harris. And it looked like we were going to have a good turnout, but I think a lot of people realized that it wasn't going to go on. And the race wasn't going to go on, and we still had 25, 30 people total, I think, in the whole joint. But still, that was going to be a ball to have everybody down there.
Yeah,
a lot of fun when we get everybody together like that. It's too bad it had to rain out like it did.
And we kind of knew it wasn't very good when we showed up down there that morning. But, we'd heard the forecast that it was not likely to happen that day, but we showed up anyway, and there was still a pretty good group of people that came on down to watch the rain delay with us. So we finally gave it up, about 3:30 in the afternoon. That was about a half hour before they eventually pulled the plug on it. We knew it wasn't going to happen.
Yep.
They could have raced in Kansas City that day, though.
They could have.
That was the funny part. If they could have just moved the whole thing to Kansas Speedway overnight, they'd have been just fine.
Yeah, Troy, you wrote a column, and you've written a couple here as of late that I've read, but I want to know, you were going to tell us what you thought about the whole Jimmy Johnson thing. I know we've been talking a little bit local, but I want to know what your thoughts are on that.
Well, and I've actually got a commentary half written about it on my laptop, and I'll probably finish it up this weekend, but I'll just kind of give you my idea. In any sport, the people who should be invisible are the officials. Nobody goes to a Major League Baseball game to watch the umpire. Nobody goes to a NASCAR race to watch the tech crew. And the way I look at it, if this is an area that wasn't covered by the template, NASCAR made a judgment call that said we don't like that. Okay, up until that point, I'm with them. That's fair. If you have something that isn't governed under a specific rule or a specific template, and I do it, and you say, I don't like that, okay, send me back to the garage area and make me fix it. That's life. Yeah. I haven't raced on the track. We haven't raced for a point or $1 or a banana, so I haven't cheated anybody out of anything.
Yeah, but NASCAR's view is you're wasting our time, Chad Canhouse, and this isn't the first time.
That doesn't mean it's right.
That doesn't mean it's right. I don't give a damn what NASCAR's view is. What?
You've been around long enough to know that this is NASCAR's turf, and NASCAR's going to do what they want to do.
I'm well aware of that. That doesn't make it right.
That's right. I'm with you, Troy, 100%.
This is a situation where NASCAR is standing up and going.
I think that if that car is going through pre-race inspection and it's deemed illegal, fix it or roll another car through here that is legal. If he would have rolled out on the track and even took one lap of practice, I could see that. But that car hadn't been on the track yet.
No.
We're all in agreement here. I agree with you guys. I'm just saying NASCAR has had – this is nothing new. This is the way they've operated since the beginning of time.
This is NASCAR standing up and going, watch us officiate. Well, guess what, NASCAR? Nobody watches you officiate. This reminds me of the time when I pulled up to a toll booth, and all I had in my wallet was a 20, so I handed the gal a 20. And she says, it'll be $1.50, and waved the 20 back at me with this look like, don't you have anything smaller? And I said, look, I'm sorry. I realize it's not your job to sit here and make change all. Oh, wait a minute. It is.
It is your job.
So don't give me that crap about wasting time because NASCAR's job is to inspect the damn race cars.
Right.
And they also like to tell people this is our turf and you'll play by our rules, and we were here a lot longer before you showed up, and we'll be here a lot longer after you're gone.
We know it's a dictatorship. NASCAR's a dictatorship.
I'm aware of all those things. It's still BS. And
I agree.
And it's not. You would agree it's not going to change.
No, believe me, there's a lot that's right about NASCAR. This is one of the things that's wrong with it. And I'm getting.
Of course, if we wanted to nitpick, we could find something wrong with everything, really, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The thing of it is, NASCAR is the only major racing series that isn't in some state of implosion. So, can they do it? Yeah. Is it right? No. Is it going to hurt Jimmy Johnson not to have Chad Canhouse on the pit wagon? I doubt it.
No.
But it's still going to continue, because as long as you don't park the car, and all you do is suspend the crew chief when he still has the employment of and the approval of his employer to do what he's doing, he'll do it again.
Well,
so to deter him from doing this ever again, that's not going to happen.
Even NASCAR knows that parking that 48 car over something like this is a bridge too far.
So it still means that Chad Canhouse is going to do this again at some time down the road.
Yep, and Chad Canhouse will get penalized for it at some time down the road. But even NASCAR is not willing to take that next step and park the 5-time-in-a-row champion.
But if they wanted to stop Chad Canhouse from ever trying this again, that's exactly what they would do.
I don't think you're going to stop Chad Canhouse.
They don't
from
want us
trying.
to. I don't think they really care to stop him from doing it again.
And you're not going to, because Chad Canhouse is the kind of guy that pushes the rules. I mean, Chad Canhouse is the kind of guy who gets up every morning thinking, what can I do to give my guy an advantage?
I think that starts at the top, doesn't it, with Rick Hendrick? I think Rick Hendrick, he's an old school guy, Harry Hyde days and stuff, when people used to really go for, pushing the rules. I think his philosophy is, go do it. If you get caught, we'll deal with it.
That's it.
I agree.
I think it's come straight from the top. Rick Hendrick,
no doubt about it.
Allowing them to do it.
No question about it. I mean, Chad Canhouse is doing what he is paid to do.
Yep. And that's why Chad Canhouse is so good.
Yep. And by pushing the envelope, that's why they are as good as they are.
Yep.
Sometimes they cross over the line, but other times they do what other people don't dare to do. But the biggest thing for NASCAR, where's that $100,000 go? Is that in some kind of a main fund? Or they always talk about putting it in the driver's fund, but
I think it goes to the NASCAR Foundation now, though.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Seems like I read that.
Yeah.
But
Which
it's a dog and pony show, if you ask me. I mean, this kind of stuff's just going to continue to go on, and I kind of believe that NASCAR likes the publicity.
Well, they're not averse to publicity, and again, it's probably good business. Here's the thing: ultimately, at the end of the day, NASCAR is by far the most successful racing series in the United States, and by far the second most successful and prosperous racing series in the entire world. So that's why they can get away with this stuff. And I think probably the competitors, unless you park a car, I think they're going to take everything pretty much in stride and say, you know what, that's life. Chad Canhouse will still be in the shop on weekdays, and I guarantee you he's probably on a telephone somewhere on the race week.
Before we go
he's probably Skyping to his
I'm old tech, aren't I? Yeah, you're probably right. They probably got him on Skype on the laptop.
Hey, if you want to join in the conversation, 816-833-8553. We're going to be here until 10 o'clock this morning. Speaking of Skyping and social networks and all this, what is the big deal about Brad Keselowski with his cell phone during a red flag period doing the tweets and stuff? I mean, why are people getting so upset about that? I don't get it.
I don't know why people are getting so upset about it. I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's
not people getting upset about it.
Well, it seemed to be a controversy. I mean, Brad Keselowski, what's he doing?
About it that thought it was a controversy. I thought everybody thought it was pretty neat.
I thought it was hilarious.
I didn't know there was a controversy.
Yeah, but there was a controversy because NASCAR had to come out with a statement saying, we're not going to penalize Brad Keselowski for tweeting outside the race car.
I don't know. I'm thinking just NASCAR.
Why even say that?
Confirming that they think it's neat. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't really hear too many.
No, there were some
people. I listened to a lot of NASCAR radio those days when I was traveling, and I didn't hear anybody. I thought most people thought it was pretty neat.
Until Keselowski starts tweeting while he's in the draft, I think.
Then there's a problem.
Then there might be a problem.
Well, there were a couple of people. Brad Doherty on ESPN said, "What he shouldn't have that cell phone in his race car. You're a professional." And I'm thinking, what is the big deal, Brad?
Brad Doherty's probably thinking he might cheat and beat my car. Oh, you don't have to cheat to beat your car.
Is that what people are worried about? That he's going to use his cell phone to cheat in some way? I mean,
listen. Don't think that technology.
I was going to say there's probably a way to do it.
Activate some kind of traction control device with that phone. I bet money that could be done.
I bet you could put some sort of a wireless control together with the EFI system and come up with some sort of a traction control. Not that it would do you any good at Daytona, but I bet there's a way to do it.
I guarantee it.
I think that's what made some people a little bit nervous. That Brad Keselowski was carrying a cell phone in his car, in the race car, and a lot of people first thought about just what you brought up, that could be traction control there.
See, what I always used to carry in my race car was a rule book. I always used to take the rule book, put it in a Ziploc bag, seal it up, and duct tape it to my interior. Because
that way, when you got to the tech area, you could start policing.
No, just I I one time had somebody declare something illegal on my street stock that was completely within the rules. But nobody at the tech area had a copy of the rules. I'm serious as a heart attack. Happened at Topeka Raceway. So from that point on, I used to take, and wherever I was racing, I'd always have a printed copy of the rules, and I'd always take them, seal them up in a Ziploc bag, tape it to the car. That way, if anything came up in tech area, I could always reach in.
I bet that's more common than
you
think they don't have
Troy.
they don't have a rule book at the tech area.
Oh, I
think that's
guarantee
more common than you.
I guarantee it is. And it didn't cost me much. It cost me a third place in a street stock feature, but I guarantee you, from that point forward, I just made sure that if nobody had a copy of the rules at the tech area, I was going to have a copy of the rules in my race car.
And if nothing else, it made a statement to it made a statement to people saying, "Don't mess with me. I've got the rule, but I know what the rules are."
Well, yeah, I only had to pull it out one other time, and that was during a claim situation. I'll tell you. Here's a question I want to put out to you guys. Is Danica Mania already jumping the shark? Because you're already seeing commentators.
We almost made it through a whole show without talking about Danica.
I want to talk about it because you're already seeing commentators. You're seeing Kyle Petty. You're seeing Kenny Wallace. You're seeing Brad Doherty say, you know what, enough. Let the girl do something worthwhile on the racetrack, and then we'll talk about her. And I've made this prediction before, and I'll make it again. I think it's very possible there could be a female winner of a nationwide race this year, but it'll be Johanna Long. It won't be Danica Patrick. I think it's very interesting to watch how quickly, because in the IRL, I mean, they were able to keep the bloom on that rose for about 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
she got mad, and she didn't even speak to the media when she jumped out of the car at Phoenix the other day,
which was typical of what she did in the IRL. I mean, that's why they called her. That's why they called her the princess in the IRL. I mean, she's.
I think some people call her something that doesn't start with a P. It sounds like P.
Well, there's a lot of words that people call her, and it.
She's dialing back her expectations now. Did you hear that? That's the big story this week.
Well, that's probably a pretty good idea.
Newsflash.
Because she met my expectations at Phoenix. She finished 3 laps down.
She started 30th and finished 3 laps down.
Yes.
Good for her.
I think a lot of people have been really critical of what I said a couple of years ago. Remember, even Jack Harry had me on the 10 o'clock news when I said, Danica, she won't win a cup race unless it's at a plate race where she lucks into it. That's the only chance she has.
Well, but what the hell does Jack Harry know about racing?
Track race. She won't win a road course race. She won't win a short track race. The only chance she has to win at that level is going to be on a fluke, like so many first-time winners and only one-time winners is at a plate track. That's her only chance to win at the cup.
I think she'll lose her patience. She'll get mad, and she won't be able to stand the pressures of this whole thing. That's what I believe.
Well, it's going to be interesting because for a long time she never said she wanted to race as much as NASCAR races.
I will say that I think she's very intelligent, but that isn't going to make her a great race car driver.
No.
She's pretty.
But I think I do think she's a very smart woman, though.
But she's not very patient.
She's studious of the game. You can tell you can be as studious as you want. Tyler Palco was probably a great guy on practice day and reading the books, but he was a horrible quarterback.
Well, Janet Guthrie was very
probably as studious as anybody out there, but does that make him a great quarterback? No. I think it's the same with her.
But I don't think she's got the patience to be able to stand all of this. I mean, this is ramped up tenfold from her IRL days, and she had trouble dealing with the pressures there. And now she comes over to this situation where it's every week from February through November. I don't think mentally she'll be able to stand the pressures of it all.
I think you may have a point there, Kirk. I look back and of course, it's probably unfair to compare her to Janet Guthrie, but I'm going to do so anyway. Janet earned guys' respect in NASCAR because they could go into a turn next to her and come out of that same turn, and everybody still had all the parts attached to her car. Janet was not above working on her car. I mean, Janet was actually a pretty decent mechanic, and she'd throw in with the guys and change engines or whatever. And back in that day, drivers were expected to do that.
Well, Johanna Long works on her cars, didn't she?
Yeah, Johanna Long works on her cars.
Sure.
I mean, Janet earned her respect by not trying to be anything special, but just trying to be a racer. And I think that Danica is coming in with the approach, I'm here, respect me. And that just doesn't happen in NASCAR.
I mean, she came out. Danica was quoted as saying the other day, "Well, I all these pressures at Daytona, and I had troubles at home, and I had to deal with all of that, and I was just so mentally exhausted." She said.
Well, and that's not the kind of thing that's going to help her win a lot of respect in the NASCAR garage area.
No.
Shut the hell up and race. I mean, that's really what I think people are looking for from her now. And like I said, I don't want to contribute to the whole phenomenon by talking about it. I just think it's very interesting because, I used to follow the IRL very closely. It's very interesting for me, and I actually predicted this when she went to NASCAR. I said the IRL was able to keep up the impression that she was a world beater for about 3 or 4 years. It's not going to work that way in NASCAR. I mean, you're looking at last year was her first partial nationwide season. This year's her first full nationwide season. I think 90% of the marketing benefit's going to be used up by the end of this year.
Well, she qualifies for the pole in one of these nationwide races coming up and goes up and starts up front and leads a bunch of laps. Then maybe she'll start earning a little bit of respect. But
normally she's going to qualify for the pole and then make her usual determined charge to the rear.
She's going to qualify well because she's got great equipment. I mean, let's face it, that's Hendrick equipment. She can't compete in that car. In Junior's car, that she's not going to be able to compete. But I don't know. I'm so tired of Danica. I think you said it best. Maybe it was you, Troy, down there at the Daytona watch party. She is at her maximum value in NASCAR going into Daytona. That was the spotlight of spotlights for her.
Yep.
From this point on, it's going to get dimmer as time goes by.
Yep, absolutely.
And when she ended up down there, even though it wasn't her fault, she ended up with wrecked race cars every time she went out to race. So,
well, and the thing of it is, there are, in my opinion, more accomplished female drivers in the United States. I mean, I think locally we could even look at our own Jenny White. I mean, Jenny's done some pretty good things in a late model, and it's unfortunate that all of the attention has really, to me, all the attention's been focused on the wrong female race drivers, because it seems like invariably the female race drivers who get the media spotlight, like Danica, like Milka Duno, like Deborah Renshaw, like Leilani Munter, those are the ones who... Leilani Munter. She's a swimsuit model like Milka Duno. Those are the ones who aren't winning races, and the female drivers who are winning races, the Jenny Whites, the Elizabeth Halpins, the Johanna Longs, for some reason those people aren't getting any media attention, and I haven't figured this out.
And glamour.
Well, yeah.
Self-marketing and promotion is what got Danica where she did.
What was the girl? Gosh, what was her name? Something Joe. I can't remember her name. Run All Pro. Had the long ponytail. What was her name?
You're not talking about Robin McCall, are you? Mrs. Wally Dallenbach? She actually won an All Pro race years ago.
Remember Shauna Robinson?
Shauna, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Shauna. She was a pretty good racer, but I can't think of her name. She drove a Ford.
It's escaping. Oh, Tammy Jo Kirk. Yeah, Tammy Jo Kirk.
Yeah.
The first female winner of the Snowball.
She was a pretty good race car driver.
Tammy Jo's biggest problem was she made it to trucks too late in life. I mean, she was already 40 when she made it to trucks.
I know.
And I think had she been younger, I think Tammy Jo could have cut a pretty big path because she was a good race car driver.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, anyway, the other gal that run Indy cars, her name escapes me. I like her a lot. Just that she owns race
Sarah
cars.
Fisher.
Sarah Fisher. I can't think of her name. I like Sarah Fisher.
She's a hell of a race car driver.
I like her. I like her.
And Sarah is a genuinely nice person. I mean, I've talked to Sarah before. She's a lot of fun to be around. She's very intense and competitive. She ran winged sprints and unwinged sprints and midgets for a lot of years, when she was growing up. I always said the biggest mistake that she made was getting into an agreement with Derek Walker that she would not run any other type of racing while she was running Indy cars. If she'd have kept running the short tracks intermixed with Indy cars, I think her career trajectory would have been a lot different. But basically, her development as a driver stalled when she was about 20 years old.
But she was very well liked by everybody.
Oh, yeah, still is.
Yeah.
Still is.
And the fact that she went in and got into kart team ownership and got her hands dirty. I like that.
Well, and
I liked it the day that we talked to her out of Kansas Speedway, Kirk, and we started talking about sprint car racing, and, man, she lit up.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Aaron Crocker, she might not have had much success at NASCAR level, but she's a pretty good sprint car driver.
I like Aaron Crocker. I'll tell you, the first time I saw her race, she passed Sammy Swindell on the outside at Oskaloosa one time. She won a World of Outlaw race one time.
Yeah.
And we've seen her race at Knoxville. She qualified for the A-Main up there, and not a bad racer.
Very, very good winged sprint car driver. Not quite as solid in the unwinged sprint cars. Did okay in Silver Crowns.
Didn't make the transition when she started running the trucks and things like that.
No, and that's a difficult transition for a lot of people. There's a lot better driver. A lot more notable drivers than her have struggled with that transition. I
will tell you, a lot of people think it's easy driving those Cup cars. Another story for you. It's difficult.
Yeah.
Those things are not as easy as what they appear to be on television to drive.
Well, and I think part of what derailed Aaron's career was the whole issue with Ray Evernham, and
sure,
that created some bad press, and unfortunately, I think that affected her career in the wrong way.
Jessica
Zemkin.
Let's
be fair, though, they're married now, and so they were in love with each other.
So
something, right?
Well, and it's kind of like Wally Dallenbach Jr. He married Robin McCall, and they've been married ever since then. There's still a lot of people that think that the wrong one of those continued their driving career.
Jessica Zemkin, a sprint car driver, Scott, and we've seen her run. I think she's a pretty good racer.
She's a real good racer, yeah. In fact, I think, didn't she win? Where were we last year? We were up at, was that Jackson? I think it was. We were up at Jackson last year. She was up there and won a B-Main in one of our ASCS National Tour races. And in fact, in her heat race, got into it with another car, got out and kind of confronted the person she got into it with. So, yeah, she's a pretty good racer.
Well, she's won multiple A-Mains out east, different
Say, she's from Central PA, isn't she?
Somewhere out there.
Yeah. One thing about Jessica, she's very attractive. She's much more attractive than Danica.
Yeah. Wasn't she dating Tony Stewart for a while?
Yeah, I think that's what he was talking about when he said that he got rid of that we got rid of some dead weight. I think that's what was going on that time when he got out of his car.
Well, that's Beauty and the Beast.
Lynn St. James, how good a racer was she?
She was okay.
Yeah.
Lynn St. James was about a 10th place driver in Trans Am at a point when anything below top 10 was basically club level racer. Lynn was okay. She wasn't great.
She's done a lot for the women racers out there.
Now that I'll agree with. That I'll agree with.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the most famous female racer of all time has to be Shirley Muldowney, drag racing. Would you say? The most accomplished?
Certainly the most accomplished, I think.
3-time NHRA national champion.
Yeah.
So her legacy will live on, no doubt. She was a pretty interesting character. I like that movie. That movie Heart Like a Wheel, you remember that? Came out in the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
It was about Shirley Muldowney and her run-in with Connie Coletta. Bo Bridges played Connie Coletta.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
I actually have that movie on DVD.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shirley, I don't know. Shirley got a little bumpy in her later years. A little bitter over some things that it's unfortunate to read and hear some of the stuff that she said in her later years.
Shirley Muldowney?
Yeah.
She is one hateful woman.
Yeah. Okay, that's another way of putting
it. She is one mean, grumpy woman.
And she's grumpy at a lot of people who really helped her a lot, and that's the thing that gets me. I picked up her autobiography down at the Don Garlett's Drag Racing Museum, and she doesn't have a good word to say about anybody, including Garlett's.
Garlett's allowed a book by Shirley Muldowney to be sold in his museum?
Hey, Garlett's helped Shirley a lot. Yeah. Garlett's was one of the co-signers on Shirley's Top Fuel license originally.
Yeah.
I mean, he helped Shirley a lot, and she doesn't have a good word to say about him.
That's too bad.
And it really is. I mean, same deal about Connie Coletta, and I understand that ended badly, but if it wasn't for Connie, she'd have never made it big in drag racing. But
well, let's face it, she squandered her money that she made over the years.
Yep.
And she thinks that she was wronged in the business, and she's just hateful because of it.
Mm-hmm. But wasn't she always that way? She's always kind of a bitter woman, wasn't she?
I can't answer that.
I don't know. But I know she isn't later in life. I've heard that she's going to have to auction off all of her stuff just to survive.
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
Well, she was complaining about when the National Guard sponsored Dale Jr. instead of sponsoring her in NHRA. And it's like, Shirley, come on.
Well, she was married to Ron Tobler for many, many years.
Yes.
Was her crew chief.
Yes.
And they had a bitter divorce.
Yes.
And that didn't end well at all.
No. Well, and it's unfortunate that people have to look at things that way. You would always hope that somebody who had accomplished as much as Shirley has could sit back and look at her career and smile and think about all the memories of the people that she'd worked with, and it's unfortunate that it's not that way.
Yeah. All right, we're getting down to the close of the hour. Scott, that was a great broadcast last night. Sounded like some pretty good racing. Got more of the same tonight, 8 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock Arizona time. Dustin Morgan, the big winner last night. Who's poised to run well tonight?
Well, I don't know. You got to look at all the guys that are running up top right now. Jason Johnson, obviously, you've always got to count him in there as a guy that's going to be competitive for the win. He finished third last night, got a podium finish. Johnny Herrera looked really good last night as well. I don't know. Jack Dover, he was fast. Problem is, he's been spinning out a lot. He spun out, taking the green on the pole last week.
What is going on, Jack?
Saturday night. And then last night, he spun out on his own. Oh, he was probably running in the top 5.
What do you make of that?
And spun out in turn 2 and kept it going and rallied back from falling back to 10th. He rallied back to finish 5th. So if Jack can keep his car going in the right direction, I think he could be a player in this deal as well.
What's going on there? Jack's a great driver.
I don't know. Pressure, man. A lot of, it takes a lot of money. People are saying, man, what's wrong with the car count down here? We had about 35, 36 cars at Keeney, and I think 27 last night. The price of fuel down here is nuts. It's like $4.75 a gallon.
$4.75.
Teams that aren't running for the points are not going to pull all the way down to Yuma, Arizona to race.
It is up that high
it's just
down.
the way it is.
Wow.
Gas is $3.99 a gallon for unleaded here.
Oh my goodness,
it's ridiculous.
Oh, you haven't been tracking that credit card, have you, Kirk?
I'm afraid to, man.
Yeah.
We upped the limit on that here. The bank upped the limit on that here a while back, so I guess that's a good thing.
No time too soon for that, let me tell you, bud.
Oh, my goodness.
Gas is expensive down here. Hey, I've got to give a shout-out to, real quick, the Tocopal Resort and Convention Center has put us up here this week, and we want to thank them for doing that. Christy down here did us a great job, and I'm telling you, and if you get a chance to come down here to Yuma and go to this racetrack, Troy, you will love this place. I mean, really, not many tracks nicer than Tocopal Speedway in Yuma. It is really, really, and just to think about it, a prelim night, they had 3,000 people in the stands.
That's
it's
impressive.
Pretty remarkable, really.
That really is.
That just goes to show you what a little promotion, a little legwork, some press conferences, and getting the word out can do. That's a lesson that a lot of track operators could take note of.
No doubt. Yep.
All right, Scott, 8 o'clock tonight. on RacinBoys will be listening. And Troy, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. We'll do it again soon.
Thank you guys for having me. It was always a lot of fun.
Thanks for
All
Brandon
right,
Bernstein.
Troy. I always enjoy your columns, man. Thanks.
You bet.
Thank you, guys.
Good job with those. Always enjoy reading those. Thanks to Brandon Bernstein a little bit later on in the show. And for Scott Traylor, I'm Kirk Elliott. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of Track Talk. We'll do it again next Saturday. Have a good weekend.
You can sing until there's no song.